I'm calling this meeting to order at 7 p.m. Welcome to regular meeting number 1435 of the Wachusett Regional School District Committee. This meeting is being recorded. It's not streaming live tonight due to technical difficulties, but it will be available tomorrow on holdentv.com. We have one member joining us remotely tonight. Member Lorway, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Great, thank you. The next item on the agenda is public comment. Randy, do we have anyone signed up? No. Nope. We have no one signed up for public comment tonight. Next is my opening remarks. Welcome, everyone. On behalf of Member Brennan and myself, I want to acknowledge the opportunity we had last week to attend the MASC conference in Hyannis. As usual, I come back with lots of new energy and ideas to help us work more efficiently and help our practices for future meetings. Next on the agenda is the student representatives report, so I'll turn it over to Grace and Colleen.
Good evening, everyone. I hope we're all doing well on this Monday. With fall athletics in hindsight for the 2025 season, I'd like to begin with a recap of the last few weeks for our teams, all of which had very strong seasons and all advanced to postseason play. Football, volleyball, field hockey, and boys and girls soccer all qualified for the playoffs this year. Boys soccer faced the end of their season in their first playoff match against Leominster. Girls soccer competed in a very exciting match against Newton North, only losing 3-2. Football lost against Andover 2 Fridays ago in their first playoff game and faced a tough St. John's team for the first time in 5 years as a consolation match last Friday. The game was intense and we came up short only by 1 point. It was an overall great game to watch. Lastly, field hockey wrapped up their season in the Sweet 16 match against Belmont High School. Winter sports registration is now open, and our winter sports parent-student meeting is scheduled for November 24th. Additionally, signups are open for girls interested in joining the Shrewsbury Cooperative Ice Hockey team.
Moving beyond athletics, we've been very active and successful recently here at the high school. Our fall play, Theophilus North, took place this past weekend and was well received. As for homecoming events, both the bonfire and the dance were very successful and brought together a large portion of our student body. The World Language Honor Society inducted 60 new members last week, and the National Honor Society will induct 144 new members on Wednesday, the 19th. The Mental Health Club held its first meeting of the year, focusing on school-wide mental health initiatives, which we were expecting to have a lasting impact on our community. Student Council is currently running its annual food drive where food and toiletries can be dropped off in class administrator's office through next Tuesday.
And in some more exciting news, we're continuing to strengthen the bridge between the middle schools and the high school. Our learning ambassadors, along with school counselors, have begun touring the middle schools, and as a part of our marketing and outreach planning is underway to welcome 8th grade students to the high school later this year for a tour of the high school and a panel discussion in the auditorium. Finally, we were thrilled to welcome back the class of 1975 who toured the building with our learning ambassadors and were honored at the halftime show at halftime during the Halloween football game. As always, thank you for your continued support here at Wachusett, and we hope you all have a great evening.
Thank you. Thanks for the great update. Next on the agenda is the superintendent's report, so I will pass it over to Dr. Riley.
Thank you very much. Typically, we have a little PowerPoint to share with people, but then I realized it really would just have 2 names on it, and so that really wasn't worth putting together. The 2 things we were hoping to do tonight is we're going to have a presentation about our MCAS results from Laura DeRose, our curriculum director, but before doing that, I had mentioned, and we wanted to give some acknowledgement to Davis Hill Elementary. And one of the things I think we're trying to work on in the district is being able to celebrate when schools, students, and others show a level of excellence. And really, we're such a big district, which I think we lose sight of sometimes, but to try to shrink it down and acknowledge the things that are happening in our schools, in our classrooms that are really kind of making a difference. And Davis Hill is a great example of that. And I had mentioned a little bit earlier that it was recognized as a 2025 School of Recognition by DESE. And what that means is it's one of approximately 60 schools statewide that has been looked at and identified based on certain criteria of achievement. And, there are over 300 school districts in the state of Massachusetts, and I couldn't find the number. It was over 2,000, but that included parochial and private elementary schools. But I'm going to guess between 600 and 900 schools across the state that serve elementary students. So to be one of 60 to receive that honor is pretty impressive. When Director DeRose does her presentation, she'll talk a little bit about the metrics that are used when they're identifying schools and whether or not, really what they call it is whether they've met their target goals. And I just want to share a little bit about what Davis Hill did this year. And so really they have a metric where about 68% is based on achievement. About 23% is based on growth, and so how their achievement is growing, and then 10% on attendance. And it's absolutely remarkable, and they usually have two kind of subgroups that they look at. They look at all students, and then they look at lowest performing students. And for Davis Hill this year, for all students, when you take all those criteria, they met 96% of their criteria. And then when you look at their lowest performing students, 100%. And so it's really incredible. Their total criterion target percentage was 98%. And really, if a school achieves 75%, they're doing a great job. And so I really feel like what happened there over the past year, and obviously before, it speaks to the work that they've done as administration, the teachers, obviously, and the work they're doing with the students and the hard work of the students. And so one thing I'd say about Davis Hill, and I think it's worth noting, and I think you'll probably hear Jay talk about this, Jay Norton, the principal, when he comes up and says a few words in a minute, is, we talk about these types of recognition. It's about the data. But if you go to Davis Hill, you're not thinking about data. You're not walking into a school where the kids, you feel like that's, it's this high stakes and high pressure environment. What I always notice about Davis Hill when I'm there, and I've had these conversations with John Kroll, it's the culture. You walk in and it's a welcoming school. People are smiling. You can tell the kids like being there. You can feel the investment in relationships, how much the teachers care about the students, how much the administration cares about the students, how much the administration and the teachers care for each other. And so I think it would be a mistake not to note that that's really, I think, the basis or foundation of a lot of the work that's happening at Davis Hill and some of the most important things that are happening there. And then I think they've also done a really good job of developing systems. And so you see it with their lowest performing students. They've created systems that are hopefully going to support those kids and give them support when they need it. And, one of the things, and we'll call this out a little bit when Laura does her presentation, we're not doing as good a job this year, really last year in the data, in terms of the number of chronically absent students has gone up for the district. And one of the things I think of note when you look again at Davis Hill is they got the maximum number of points you can get for having really reducing their number of chronically absent students who were considered low performing. And so that does, again, speak to the relationships, speaking to knowing the kids and trying to make sure they know that they're cared about. It's important that they're in school because you can't learn if you're not in school. And so I just wanted to say a couple of those thoughts. And I brought this out, which is a thumbs up, if you can't tell. This is one of the things, and I talk about culture at Davis Hill. And when I was at Davis Hill, one time, Jay pulled me into his office and he gave me this, and I've had this on. This is like my prized possession in my office. And it's just like one of the little things that they do. You know, they used to have a top banana award and all those things, but it just speaks to what they're building and what's important to them. And I didn't know, and I was just sharing this with the chair. I'm going to try to find a really big thumbs up. And Dr. Kroll and I have talked about making a visit to Davis Hill, and you know, we'll find some place. I don't, it may be too big for the trophy case, but we want to just let the students and staff know what an extraordinary job they've done. And that we appreciate them and notice them. But I want to introduce Principal Jay Norton and maybe have Jay share a couple comments to us. Yes, please, Jay. I don't know what Jay's going to say either, so this is going to...
You're really hard to follow. You stole a lot, and I think, is that work? Maybe I'll push it back a little bit. I appreciate all the kind words, Dr. Riley, and I think our staff would too. I haven't been as good with my thumbs up lately, so I've gotta get back around. Some at the school might, if you know The Office, might say they are my version of the Dundies a little bit. If there's sometimes some jokes about Michael Scott that come my way, but ultimately, that is what we're trying to build, a culture where you can recognize the deeds that are often the small deeds, often the small, tiny acts that so often go unnoticed in any big system or big machine, but that actually make the difference. It's in the details, and that is a place where I think our staff and our community, and whenever you come to Davis Hill, if you read a newsletter or anything that I ever put out, I always say community, Davis Hill community, because to me, that's what makes the difference, and it's what's important for ultimately our students, is that they feel supported by a community. But again, thank you for the opportunity to say a few words. I think it was you, Dr. Riley, who said it's not often in educational circles that you get a chance to be recognized, and you need to take advantage of those opportunities. And so I said, I will come and speak on behalf of Davis Hill. So we're thankful for the opportunity. I'm thankful for the opportunity to say a few words. Often talk about like there is no small thing or a single factor that makes a difference in growth or achievement or anything when working with kids. It's usually a cumulative process. And I want to really start by thanking Dr. Riley, the central office leadership, and the school committee itself for providing us consistency and resources at the school level, which I think sometimes your role in the machine also gets overlooked sometimes. And we're really appreciative of the fact that we're supported by leadership and by school committee. We have the resources to do the job that we need to do. I'm really thankful for our families. We are blessed with a community that supports the school. If we ask for something, we receive it. We are fortunate in that when we call families and we're working with families and we're trying to work with our kids, we receive that support, that partnership, and that is not forgotten. We are super thankful for our families. And we're super thankful for our students. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we talk a lot about responsibility and how kids are ultimately responsible for themselves. And what we try to do is provide an environment where they take that seriously, and they believe in showing effort, and they believe in taking pride in their work. And our students clearly do that. And that is, I'm excited for them that we did well, because it really goes to show that if you put your best foot forward, you can grow, you can learn, you can achieve. So I'm really excited for them. And really, I want to underscore and just thank everybody who's in our building. Sometimes with MCAS, you get locked. In our building, it's grades 3 to 5, right? But we're a K to 5 school, but it's grades 3 to 5 that take MCAS. And sometimes the focus really sits on those teachers. And I think it's really important for everyone to recognize the work that is done by all of the staff throughout the grade levels in order to build the foundation and really support our students in those foundational building blocks, and then moving all the way up and through. Our paraprofessionals, our classroom teachers, everybody who's involved in the building at every level, who is there every day consistently showing up for the kids in the classroom. And if you know an elementary teacher or anyone who works in an elementary building, you know what we're asking them to do on a day-to-day basis. And it's a lot. And I am thankful that they show up and they make the decision to care about their students, to advocate for their students, and to do what needs to be done every day, no matter what else is happening, they show up. And for that, I'm just excited and proud that they get a little bit of recognition for the work that they do day to day. Finally, it's about the process, and really the process of caring, the process of relationships first, the process of building classrooms where our learners and students can feel a part of something that's bigger than themselves and can really achieve to their maximum, and it's made possible by those adults who create those environments where kids can achieve and learn. And I would agree with you, Dr. Riley, I think we've created a pretty cool place at Davis Hill. And it is one where I am proud to go to work every day. I've been there since 2008, and I really wouldn't want to be anywhere else because of the people that I work with and the students and our families and the community that we've built. So I'm really happy to be invited and to brag a little bit about Davis Hill because I'm really proud of our building, and we're proud to be part of Wachusett, and I thank you all for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. So thank you, Jay. Congratulations. I think, as I said, I think we're going to make a visit to all the staff to congratulate them as well. With that, we were going to have our MCAS report and ask Director DeRose to share her presentation.
Scooch this over. We're all very proud of Davis Hill. I remember when I was first coming in for my interview here in Wachusett, I arrived and I came into the room and everybody's sitting around, and Jay comes in and he's all like scruffy and sweaty, and I was like, who's this guy and what has he been up to? And he's like, I was just playing with the Dragons. We were playing kickball, and it was the middle of summer. He has a team playing was it wiffle ball? Wiffle ball. I think I said kickball, but because I like kickball, so I was kind of like, but I was like, oh, what a great guy! Like in the middle of summer to be out there playing with the kids, like just shows you the community that he's built there. And Jay always is happy to host events at his school to improve the learning of our teachers. So we are all very grateful and very proud of your work. And I think the fact that we have a school of recognition in our district speaks to the work that the whole district has been doing. So we've been working very hard, over the past few years to improve things, and we have made steps forward. So with that, I'm going to take you through our MCAS data this year. I have to see it here because I can't read from there. So so while I have 32 slides here, most of these slides are really for you to look at on your own without me. It's more informational for you because when you're looking at this slideshow on your own, it'll make more sense to you. But I'm going to go through just a few of the slides. I'm not going to take you through all 32. You're welcome, because that would take a while. Okay, so we are going to begin with our accountability data here. So as you can see, this is very small, but this is the accountability website for Massachusetts. As you know, all of you can go onto Mass Accountability website and you can look up the district, and we're going to be talking about district results today, but you can also look up your schools. And with all of this information, we're going to share it at the district level, but this is also available at the school level. And so while Jay's school and some of these elements might have achieved 98%, as a district, that might not be what we've done, right? So everything can be broken down more and more, and you can really dig in on this website to student subgroups. You can go really, really deep. Jim and I were speaking today, and we said that every time we look at this data, we learn something new about the district. So, and I've looked at it a lot, and I still feel like I'm learning new things. So definitely take some time and dig in if you're interested. So that's the accountability website for the district. The story of this data tells about where Wachusett is now and where we're heading is that we're in a stable place where we have good performance. We're around the middle of statewide data. I see some encouraging signs of growth. But we also see, and this is going to be kind of the theme of my presentation today, opportunity gaps that are holding back our overall achievement. The combination of strengths and needs places us in the developing performance band, where intentional improvements can yield rapid gains. So if you look at this data, you'll see that we are not, they label us as developing. So we haven't achieved the highest level that we could, we'll say. So I'm going to take you through each of the, and when I had principals look at this data, I had them each come together and look at their schools. And one of the things that popped out for them immediately was what Jim brought up today, the chronic absenteeism. So that's a place that we can make strong gains by, setting up systems to try and, encourage kids to come to school, track absences, things like that. And Director Thompson's been working on those sorts of things for the district. But we do need to, absenteeism is a place where we can improve our accountability. So it's not just MCAS, right? So when we talk about accountability and the ratings of a school district, it isn't only about these test scores. It's also about student progress in other areas. The other place that you might want to notice on this is it's also about advanced coursework for the high school. That's a place where we've made a lot of growth this year. Last year they received 0 out of 4 points. This year they received 3 out of 4 points, I think. I can't see the data exactly, but and that's from their addition of dual enrollment courses and their continued support of AP classes. So those are changes that we've put in place and are, improving our accountability results. There are definitely places that we still need to make growth. And as we dig into this data, you'll see how that ties into the work we're doing. So the next, and this is the chart. So if you want to look at chronic absenteeism, any one of those indicators you can dig into further, like this one, which is chronic absenteeism. And then we're going to go into the district overall results. This is just showing you how the MCAS works, the scoring. So when we talk about student growth percentile, one of the strongest indicators that's one of the strongest indicators of how the district is doing. Across grades 4 to 10, students demonstrated typical to high growth with a mean SGP of 49.5 in ELA and 53.3 in math. This tells us that our instruction is working and students are on average learning more in a year than students with similar profiles statewide. Growth is trending upward, which means that our systems are improving. So SGP has grown, which is good. Keep going with our information here. Sorry, go to this. So this is a chart of the ELA MCAS scores grades 3 to 8. And you can check these out. It shows you data through the years. I think it starts in 2022. But if we look at this following chart, it shows it kind of an easier way for you to see in a presentation like this. You can see this first chart is all of our grades 3 to 8 students in ELA, their success. And then the chart on the right shows our high needs information. So in ELA, roughly half of our students in grade 3 to 8 are met or are exceeding expectations. This places us right in the statewide middle. We're not a low-performing district, but it's not yet high-performing. And importantly, the other half of students, about 45 to 50%, are scoring below expectations. This is consistent with a system that is stable but not yet demonstrating mastery across all classrooms. And then when you look to the right at the high needs profile right there, about 1,087 out of 3,543 students in these grades are still tracking lower, much lower than the other students. We see that these achievement gaps continue to persist. This is what we've been talking about for several years now. These gaps are long-standing and significantly impact overall district performance. This is not an ability issue, it's an opportunity issue. These results tell us that instruction is working for many, but not consistently for all. So if you look at the data that's just ELA for grades 3 through 8. And then we can continue on. And again, this is information you can dig into further, but this is the math MCAS, and you can see how we trend over the years. You can see we're pretty consistent and stable, like we said. And again, if you look to the left, you're going to see this is our all students math MCAS grades 3 through 8. And then you look to the right, and you see these are our high needs groups, and the numbers are similar. Math shows a similar pattern to ELA, stable, middle of the state performance with nearly half the students below meeting expectations. Growth is strong, which suggests that our math programs, Eureka, Reveal, Alex, ST Math, are having a positive instructional impact, but achievement is not yet moving at the same pace. So we are growing well in math, but our achievement scores are not where we'd like them to be, right? So, and then we're going to go on to...
Laura, can I add
Yep.
just one thought? And so the reason why we differentiated between all students and high needs, and just for the committee, high needs is defined as students from low socioeconomic, families who have low socioeconomic status, English learners, and special education
Or students with disabilities.
students with disabilities. Thank you. I think it's important to acknowledge that, because that is the biggest discrepancy that we have in the district. It is even actually greater for students with disabilities. But when you look at those numbers, a third of our elementary students would be considered high needs. And so we're not talking about it's a large proportion of our students, and it shows that really we continue to have a pretty good proportion of our students who are struggling. And I think the other thing to make note of, both for the math and the ELA, is approximately 1 out of 3 of those students, if they're identified as high needs, is either meeting or exceeding the MCAS. And so it really does need to be one of our focuses. It has been, but it needs to continue to be as we're moving forward. And I think it's just important for us to kind of call that out. And what we've done throughout this presentation is to try to show those, the separation between all students and also the high needs group, which we've spoken about here. I think the other thing, and we didn't take a moment to look at it closely, but there really is a pretty tight correlation between their attendance and also the achievement. And so for, in particular, low-income students, it's about 1 out of 5 that is chronically absent, all right? I think it's about 22% when you look at it. And so again, it's another focus I think that we need to identify moving forward at all levels to make sure kids are coming to school. And we've talked before about our relationships and kids knowing and families knowing that we care for them and we want to make sure that they're in school. I think this is why we're talking about that so often. And one of the things Director Thompson, ACE, in terms of student supports, he'll come and he'll talk at a future meeting about some of the work he's doing with guidance counselors and in the schools in terms of how can we outreach to families and students to make sure they're coming to school. It's another reason why when we talk the importance of guidance counselors and other staff, that's one of the reasons we're advocating for those positions and continue to do so as well. Sorry.
Yeah. Even Davis Hill has some chronically absent students. Just teasing. Jay's like, that's the one place I can get more points. So we continue on. So again, this is science and technology and engineering, and we don't have, because it's not given every year, we give it, and this is test in grades 5 and 8. They don't have SGP, but you can see here too, when it comes to Science results in grades 5 and 8 show inconsistency across schools, but strong upward trajectories of growth. With the full OpenSci implementation in grades 6 through 8 and the grade 5 pilot now underway, we expect to see these results strengthen in the next 2 years as instructional coherence continues on. So, and also with the addition, and we'll talk about this later, with the new STEAM curriculum that goes up to STEM curriculum in the high school, so that alignment is also happening at the same time. So and the MCAS is a science technology test now. So all of that will strengthen those scores. If we go on to, the next, civics. This is a new test. This is our grade 8 civics test. Once again, we're right in the middle of the state. The civics teachers were really excited about their scores on the test just because for the first time they were able to kind of see where they were at in their curriculum and their instruction. So they got together over the last PD day, and they did some work on aligning their civics project, which is required by the state, but also working on looking at their civics MCAS data. And so they're at an exciting point. I think they're happy with their curriculum for right now, but they are thinking maybe in the future they might have to make upgrades and figure out what they need. But civic, it was a good experience. And it's interesting, the place that we saw the most challenges in civics is what the state has decided to make the focus of next year's MCAS. They want people to focus on this topic because across the state it was institutions of the government, and so they want the whole state to kind of focus on these institutions of government, which makes sense given everything that's going on in the world. So it's good. So that's exciting too. So more MCAS, right? So we keep going on. So now we're to the high school. This is grade 10 ELA, and again you can see the consistent progress over the years. And then I will take you can see here, this is the same situation. When we look at grade 10 ELA remains steady. Most students meet expectations, but when we isolate that high need students, 108 out of 419, the gap widens considerably. These gaps tell us that interventions, scaffolds, and co-taught structures must remain a priority at the high school. So you can see here that they're pretty consistent, but again, we do see that gap that we've talked about. Go to the next slide, which is again math over time, and once again you can see the consistency. And then we jump to the math. And again, on the left is all students, and on the right is our high needs group. And Math 10 mirrors ELA patterns, solid performance over time, paired with significant gaps for high needs students. We're working to strengthen Algebra 1 and geometry coherence, especially pacing to meet DESI's expectations to make sure we get all the content in before the test. And we're hoping that will help improve our outcomes there. And then the next one is physics. And again, grade 9 physics. Grade 9 physics results continue to highlight the kind of mismatch between our strong grade 8 science performance statewide and our drop in grade 9 achievement. This reinforces the need to work for the work that's already happening, redesigning pathways. They're adding Project Lead the Way choices and STEM choices there, the elimination of restrictive tracks, and the stronger alignment from middle school science to high school courses. So a lot of and the girls talked about it a minute ago, but we are trying to really have our middle school teachers work with our high school teachers on more vertical alignment and figuring out and placement of students, so students aren't tracked or placed in the wrong track transitioning to the high school. So we go to the next. And this is our MCAS. These are our MCAS alt results. As you know, MCAS alts is a option for our students with disabilities that are not able to take the MCAS. And so it's a difficult test to give, and that it's very, very specific in how you have to go through the portfolio and create the portfolio. So some students are successful, you can see on the right, and still we have some challenges there. But it is has a very specific portfolio expectation that teachers have to be highly trained in giving the MCAS alt. It is very difficult. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the MCAS alt as time goes by, but it is always a challenge. So next up, communicating results to our parents. As you know, MCAS scores were sent out to families. We placed them on the parent portal, but then we also mailed them home, and DESI sends out guides. They did talk about a family portal this year, but that still has not opened. So if you've heard about that, I think there was issues at DESI's level, and so we have not heard anything else. So we're going to assume they're going to continue to mail the MCAS next year as well. And the next one is just our district comparison with DART schools. This is an interesting slide. When compared to similar districts, our pattern is consistent with districts that are stable and improving, but not yet breaking into the higher performance tiers. This reinforces that our next phase is about coherence, consistency, and closing the gaps. So we're pretty consistent with the same, with a certain group of schools we've been traveling with over the years here, but we're making, slow progress forward. And then this slide talks about strengthening Tier 1 core instruction, the work that's been happening in the district. Our first major lever is strengthening Tier 1 instruction. We're continuing HQIM implementation with deeper attention to pacing, discourse, and assessment. Learning walks, we've been doing at almost all of our schools this year. They'll help us monitor consistency across classrooms. Interventionists and co-teaching models will help us strengthen inclusive practices so more students access grade level content every day. And then the math department's shared the work they're doing. In math, our focus is again coherence and precision, tightening up Algebra 1 and geometry sequences, continuing robust PLC and coaching structures, and amplifying hands-on problem solving and mathematic discourse. These moves directly address the achievement gaps that we're seeing. And then ELA. In ELA, writing is a place that we've seen on all of our MCAS across the whole district. The principals did work into the data, looked at the data too. And so we're implementing a district-wide SRSD program, which is writing across all content areas. SRSD is self-regulated strategy development. It provides common language and a common structure throughout an entire district for writing. So it's not just an ELA type of writing. And so we've begun training teachers in grades 5 and 6 in this, and we're going to be expanding to grades 4 and 7. Grade 6 students have an additional block in their schedule, so we're using that to strengthen their writing there. And that will help get them ready for the high school by the time they're there. K through 8, Growing Writers PD, K through 5 Growing Writers PD just took place on our last PD day. And that connects reading and writing through into the reading program. And they're also deepening close reading and comprehension routines through amplify and explicit instruction. So that's our middle school work. And then in science, Open Science is now fully implemented in grades 6 through 8. We've launched a grade 5 pilot that the kids are loving. It's all bugs on a log. If you walk through any grade 5 classroom, the kids are very, very excited about the whole thing. But don't give it away. The secret is that everything's alive. But you'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. It's pretty cool, the work they're doing. And then we're also doing the STEM alignment through Project Lead the Way at the high school level. They're redesigning the pathways, engineering, environmental, biomedical, and also the traditional biology, chemistry, physics work they're looking at. And they're working to make tracks less restrictive and expand to rigorous coursework for all students. And so overall, our data shows a district that is solid and stable and improving, but not yet where we want to be. We have strong curriculum systems, rising growth, and a clear path forward, but now it's about coherence and ensuring strong instruction is happening, and for every student, those grade level standards are being met. That's where we're at. See, it wasn't too bad, 32 slides. I got a little tired there, but it was good. Any questions?
Yep. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
I think I probably will after I dig into
I know. There's so much data here. And to feel free to ask me questions like later about this. Jim also.
We have one.
Thanks. So I know that chronic absenteeism has been an issue across the state, sort of across the country. It seems to be a lingering COVID issue. And so I didn't know, instead of, obviously we need to figure out exactly what's happening in our specific community with our specific families, but is there any guidance or things coming down from the state or things DESE is putting out that we can use or implement to help us? Just wondering if there's, already information or guidelines or things out there that we can.
Well, Joan did attend a workshop, right, Jim? And then ACE has been working on this as well. I know Joan came back from a workshop last year.
Yep.
And at the time, we thought we were in a good place because actually our accountability scores were pretty good for absenteeism last year.
Yeah, we're still above the state.
Right.
Doing better than the state. I think what was hard for us, we were in excellent position last year, if you looked at our data. A lot of what our rates were was what the state was pushing for people aspiring to. This year, however, almost universally, there was an additional percentage point of students who were chronically absent. So I think we went from 10% to 11%, which is still higher than we want to be. You know, I really do feel like a lot of it, especially when you break it down and you look at that there are particular groups that are struggling more with their attendance. It really is about our connections to families and how well we know our families and how welcomed our families feel. And, I look at students with disabilities depending on the level. I look at our low-income families. These are families that when you look at, in students, when you look at their chronic absenteeism, it's definitely different than the group of whole students. And so I think we have to target those groups and ask ourselves, and maybe even do outreach to them about, is there something we can do, making sure that, A, we're focusing on the importance of school, but B, that we don't take an approach that's necessarily penalizing. Like, I think sometimes, we take the approach of, hey, if you miss another class, you're going to get a bad grade this quarter, or things like that. And that's not the approach I believe we should be taking. When a student's absent, there should be a conversation about, I missed you. Are you okay? How's it going? Let's see how we can get you caught up. Like, that's what we should be doing. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but I feel like we probably could be doing that more. I look at our panorama data. We look at our panorama data every year, and we question, is this really how students feel? Well, honestly, the panorama data supports our chronic absenteeism data. If you don't have strong connections, if you don't have students who are feeling safe and welcomed at school, the result is it's not going to be as big a deal if they don't come. And if they're not there for a couple of days, it can be harder for them to re-enter. And that's not saying there aren't pockets and that we don't have wonderful teachers who are invested heavily in kids and want to have very good relationships. It does say that we can't ignore the data that suggests there are fairly large sections of our students who aren't coming to school frequent enough to be successful. I remember feeling lost if I missed a day or two of school. It was just like, oh, the world's moved on without me. I can't imagine, missing the number of days that some students have and trying to be successful. And so that's where I think really I would focus our efforts is building those relationships and making sure that if families need support, that we're there for them, and take an approach like that instead of a punitive approach where, I think, at least in my house, the last thing, start taking stuff away or tell people they're not going to succeed and that it's not going to turn somebody's their disposition around. And so that's my take on it. I can tell you what we'll maybe have ACE do, and Joan is put together some of the strategies they're putting together, because ACE has already started working with principals about some of the things we can do in our schools, and have them present to the committee about some of that work.
Okay. And I just wanted to make sure, have we seen a change in absenteeism from certain federal policies going on? Is there, I know
We wouldn't have seen, and so not that I'm,
isn't as
again,
much
I
as
think
it was
ACE can
in
give
the-
us an update on it.
Okay.
This data is from last year.
Right,
And so I think it would be more reflected in this year's data.
right.
But
I just
think,
wasn't
again,
sure if we started seeing trends like along
not that
this
I'm
year or
aware
anything.
of,
Okay.
but I think also it's something good for maybe ACE to report on to make sure that that's not something that's contributing to it.
Okay.
And if it is, that we give a message to our families in terms of how we can support them and make sure that they're safe attending our schools, because we certainly want to give them that message.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the rate for L's and FELs has gone up, but it's kind of aligns with the rate most of the other students also have gone up. So, and this is grades 3 to 8, so that's students of younger parents, but younger students' parents to keep
Right.
them out. But the high school data has stayed pretty strong. So,
Any other questions or comments?
Thank you so much for your presentation. I enjoyed it. I might be the only one who doesn't know how we define chronic absenteeism.
So the high school, well, so it's just the rate. So when they say chronic absenteeism on this, they're just talking about like the, I was actually going to go to the slide here, which I think is slide, oh, it goes back. Back. Here it is. Yeah, it's so tiny. But it's just when they call the indicator chronic absenteeism, that doesn't mean we have chronic absenteeism. It just means the rate of absenteeism. So we want our rate to improve every year. And if it doesn't improve every year, then we might meet our target, or like we could exceed our target. So while, for example, all students at the high school, the 2024 rate for them was 9.6% absenteeism, while the 2025 rate was 10.8, and the change was 1.2. The target was 8, and they met their target. So they got all the points they could get for that. So they did achieve that target. While at the elementary school, their rate, the target was higher, the expectation of students attending, and so they didn't meet their target, but their target still was similar to the high school. So it's just very specific numbers. We don't have like a problem with absenteeism in our district. It's not like a chronic problem or anything. It's just if our rates are improving or declining, for.
It's in the aggregate.
Yes. So it's not something, but I mean, you could look at each student, and that's what's great about our panorama system is you can dig into that attendance data, and that's what schools can be doing. And so when we met with principals, they're like setting up systems to like really target. You can click and find out how many students are within that range of, absent more than expectations, like 10 or something over a period of time. So those are the numbers principals and guidance counselors are looking at a lot. But we do have a lot of really good systems. It's just a matter of making sure that everybody takes time to work on those.
I believe, Anne Marie, and I could be wrong, chronically absent is 10%, correct? Right. So if a student is absent more than 10% or 10% of the time, in this case, 180 school days, 18 absences, they're considered chronically absent. Okay, and these are the percentage of those students who have been identified. So when we look at this in low income, 22% of our students who would be considered from low income families had 18 or more absences. And so it's concerning. That's a lot of school to miss.
Any other questions or comments? No? Thank you, Director DeRose.
Thank you. Can I
Make
just,
ACE
I want to thank,
these absentee questions.
yeah, I want to thank Laura and her team for all their work. Clearly, we're not satisfied with where our data is, and I want to be clear. And I think one of the things I'd encourage the committee when you look at our data is to look at a couple of factors. I think in particular we need to continue to ask ourselves about our special education students, and we already called out the high need students. These are groups that there is a big discrepancy between their achievement and all students. The other thing I'd point out and would encourage people to do is look town by town, because we also have a discrepancy between our towns right now that I don't think any of us feel is acceptable. And so we have some towns that are well above the state average, and we have some towns that aren't. And so I think those are things that we've marked as things that we need to pay particular attention to, and continue to do work that those barriers are removed. And again, it doesn't matter where you go to school in the district, you are seen as being successful and having the same opportunities as you would anywhere else. Mm-hmm. So those are just some takeaways I just wanted to share with the group.
Great. Does anybody have any questions on anything else that was in the superintendent's report tonight? No? I just wanted to take a moment to thank Principal Norton for coming. Thanks for coming to celebrate the community that you helped create. So you should be seriously proud of yourself because you're at the top of that train. So thanks very much. Okay. Next is the consent agenda for the secretary's report. I will accept a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes the following motions: to approve the regular meeting minutes of October 20th, 2025, to accept a donation of $500 from the Holden Women's Club to the Wachusett Closet at Wachusett Regional High School, to accept a $1,000 donation from Fidelity to the Thomas Prince Library, and to accept a school supply donation of $300 from McKesson Corporation to Mayo Elementary School.
So moved. Second.
Who moved it? Jana. Jana and Linda, or I think. Does anyone want anything removed from the consent agenda? Okay. Seeing nobody wanting anything removed, we'll move to a roll call vote.
Fisher, yes.
Woodland, yes. Morrison, yes.
Gavarden, yes.
Dubois, yes. Beardmore, yes.
Lorway, yes.
Poole, yes.
Gustafson, yes.
Renstrom, yes.
Klein, yes.
Brennan, yes.
Stoika, yes.
The chair abstains and the motion passes. Next up, we start the meat of our agenda with lots of policies tonight, so I hope everybody's ready. Next up is committee business. First, I will accept a motion to amend policy 6637, policy relating to pupil services, animals in schools, second reading.
So moved.
Brett
Second.
and Natalie. Brett and Natalie. Natalie.
Natalie.
Sorry. Sorry. Is there any discussion?
Not for me.
Oh, okay. Oh, so we're streaming live now, so everyone knows, on channel 194? Any discussion or questions? Nope. Okay. We will move on to a roll call vote.
Woodland, yes.
Fisher, yes.
Dubois, yes.
Morrison, yes.
Beardmore, yes.
Renstrom, yes.
Gustafson, yes. Stoika, yes.
Klein, yes.
Brennan, yes.
Poole, yes.
Gavarden, yes.
Lorway, yes.
The chair abstains and the motion passes. Next, I will accept a motion to amend policy 4280, policy relating to budget finance, gifts, grants, and bequests. Second reading? Is this second reading? Yeah. Okay. Brett and Malia. Is there any discussion on this second reading? Member Brennan?
Yeah, I just had a quick question on if we have procedures in place to be able to properly follow the policy with the additional wording added, such as the PTAs and PTOs.
Do you want to speak to that?
Probably not for this.
So something I learned about at the conference was something about policies that I was going to, though we're not supposed to have procedure and practice in our policies, we
Right.
should state where those things may lie and who is supposed to
Right.
create those things. So, yeah, I don't know if do you want to make a motion about something or?
No, I'm fine. I didn't want to change the policy. It was more just, can we actually do what the policy says? Like, do we have the things in place to be able to follow, protocols or things to be able to make sure that we can follow the policy? That's all.
Okay.
Because I know there's some newer things in there, so,
Yeah, so, yeah.
We'll have to look and develop them.
okay,
Are we ready yet? No.
okay.
Any other questions or comments? No, so we will move to a roll call vote.
Dubois, yes. Klein, yes.
Woodland, yes. Morrison, yes.
Beardmore, yes.
Gustafson, yes.
Fisher, yes.
Brennan, yes.
Gavarden, yes. Renstrom, yes.
Stoika, yes.
Lorway, yes.
Poole, yes.
The chair abstains and the motion passes. Next, I will accept a motion to affirm policy 7162, policy relating to support operations, sponsorship, and advertising, first reading, waiving the reading.
So moved.
Second.
Brett and Kamara. Is there any questions or discussion? Oh,
I have a question. We said affirm, but when I look at the policy, it looks like there's some edits.
Yeah, I agree.
oh, sorry.
We did. So we had, can I speak to it?
Yeah. Is it, oh, it says affirm on the agenda.
We had an action from the last meeting to go back and further revise it. So we removed the gender neutral terms in this policy as per that.
Okay.
Could
so
I-
we'll- Yeah.
Make an amendment to the motion to revise as written,
To,
to revise instead of affirm. Just change the wording of the agenda.
yep. So the amendment is to revise instead of affirm to the agenda? So. It is usually amend.
It's amend, okay.
Yeah. to
So,
change-
yes,
Okay.
I would like to propose an amendment to change affirm to
Amend.
amend. Yes.
Thank you. So, Member Runstrom and Member Woodland on the amendment. So is there any discussion on the amendment? No? So we're going to vote, we're going to have a roll call vote on the amendment to the motion, which is to change the word affirm to amend.
Member Renstrom?
Renstrom, yes.
Member Borison?
Borson, yes.
Member Klein?
Klein, yes.
Member Poole?
Poole, yes.
Member Lorway?
Lorway, yes.
Member Winters?
Not here.
Member Stoika?
Stoika, yes.
Member Dubois?
Dubois, yes.
Member Fisher?
Fisher, yes.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, yes.
Member Woodland?
Woodland, yes.
Member Gavarden?
Gavardin, yes.
Member Brennan?
Brennan, yes.
Chair Salmon Barrett?
The chair abstains, and the motion, the amendment passes. So now we are back to discussing the amended motion. Does anyone have any discussion on the amended motion about policy 7162? No? Member Woodland?
I just have some questions about how this policy interacts with the naming policy, because there are some things about using a sponsor's name in relation to a specific program or physical space. That's on item number 4. And it talks about a recommendation from the superintendent and a majority vote of the school committee. But how does that work for a town-owned building? And I didn't think that that was delineated in the earlier part of the policy. And does it just mean that if it's is it a temporary naming during the duration of a program? Is it naming a physical space with like a plaque on the, because we have other policies and lease agreements that govern how that functions. So this might make sense for the high school and the ECC and central office, but for the town-owned buildings, I guess I just don't see any reference to how differently the ownership is across a district. I mean, I might be making something more complicated than it needs to be, but I was just kind of confused about where all the relationships would be going into this, because there's a lot in here that just seems like it could be crossing over. I didn't know if that was considered.
Yeah.
How does that work then between town-owned buildings and the district-owned buildings?
Was
Is
there
there-
any discussion about?
Oh, no, this
anything
is all
about-
new information.
Okay.
This is all new information. So if you want to propose additional wording, we can dive into that.
Not at this point. I feel like that kind of discussion is better suited at another time than at the full table. It would require really going into the meat of where the overlaps are, which, I don't know, maybe it's just a few places or something, but I don't have any specific wording here. I'm just concerned that there wasn't due diligence on revising this policy.
Member Brennan?
So, in a similar way, I had a little bit of concern that I looked at the MASC sample policies. They have 2 separate ones, one for advertising, one for public solicitation, and each of them are lot more concise, whereas this has a lot of protocol in it. The MASC ones are kind of very strictly policy and a little more concise. Seems to me to have a lot of protocol in it, and I was wondering if perhaps there should be more work on the protocols and then make the policy something that's a little bit more concise. I don't know, I just didn't know if the MASC policies were looked at or
They
considered.
definitely were.
So I guess I was curious, like, why we decided to make ours sort of so much more involved.
Isn't that more historical than what we did here? I don't recall adding, like, we didn't add additional verbiage.
No, I know, I'm just saying, like, when it was
What
looked
you're
at, why
asking
did,
seems more
why
historical.
did the subcommittee choose to affirm this versus, like, make it more simplified, like the MASC ones? I was just curious what the discussion was.
More surrounding, the approach is more about need-based. So if it works fine for the administration and the schools, we wouldn't touch it. If the administration came forward and said, you know, this is too much, or we're not following it, or what have you, we probably would have revised it.
Member Woodland.
So at this point, are there any barriers to conducting business as needed when it comes to sponsorship or advertisements in the district? Like from administration, is current processes causing any barriers to how you want to conduct business in terms of businesses wanting sponsorships or naming or anything like that?
Yeah, we haven't done a whole lot of it from the district level.
Right.
At times. Mike does a little bit at the high school in terms of our exploring some of those relationships, but otherwise, it hasn't. I think we're hoping to moving forward and looking at opportunities, and as we start to develop budgets and they get tighter and tighter, seeing some opportunities that might exist. But it hasn't been a process, to be honest, that we really actively have engaged in it thus far.
Okay, and I mean, and that's more of staffing, timing, that kind of thing, rather than a policy that's getting in the way of doing that. Okay, all right, I understand, thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I think to answer your previous concern about regional agreements and things like that, with those, like, legal documents would probably outweigh our policy kind of thing. So that level of which one, which document rules I would probably say the regional agreement when it comes to naming town buildings. But yeah, we should probably be careful about how much procedure we're putting in there, because we're.
Well, we can take action to make sure we're not putting procedure in.
Yeah, just.
But if we want to holistically start looking at our policies to make sure procedures aren't in, I guess that's what I'm saying. is
Yeah,
what we wanna do.
that was part of that's all part of revising our policies right now, so, yep. Any more discussion? Member Woodland?
I mean, just given this discussion at this point, I feel like it makes sense to move forward. And if it's not really a pressing issue for administration, then I'm all for going forward.
Okay. Okay. Yep.
I had two questions or comments. On the first page of the document, under number 1, the last sentence, it says there is no obligation on the part of WRSD to provide equal access to advertising for competitors. And it's not clear to me why that needs to be stated. I kind of feel like advertising is a first come, first serve opportunity, and if there's opportunities for multiple advertisers to advertise, it seems that we would be open to that. So it's just, from a business standpoint, I just question whether it needs to be stated. And it almost calls out question to me. It calls out like favoritism. It's like, well, there's just no reason to say it. Does that make sense to people?
It didn't jump out to me,
Okay.
but not coming from a business,
I guess I read it as extraneous or something.
okay.
Like,
Member Woodland?
Sorry, just from my point of view, it's more of because it's a public body, it's a public service that the district is providing, and so it's not exactly a business. And so I think that it can easily be caught in a tug of war, where this just is stating that this isn't a need to engage at all of like, it's just going to be what it is on who gets here first and how we make our agreements, rather than, well, you gave, Coke something, now Pepsi has to get a shot. That's not going to be part of the equation.
Right. I guess, but that's how Gillette Stadium works too. It's.
But it's not a public.
I
service.
understand. I understand. I understand that, but it's still. I'm not, personally, I don't think it needs to be stated, and I don't think the disclaimer is necessary, is I guess the read that I had on it. But no action necessary. It just caught me when I read it, a little bit of a hiccup. The other item is on page 3 of 3, item 5. There's 2 sentences under item 5. Neither of them read very smoothly to me. But there's reference to a local educational access channel. Does that exist right now, and what is that? And I'm just, okay, so I'm just,
So wouldn't
We're on it right now.
Holden TV.
So that
We're
is
streaming
Holden
live on it
TV?
right now, yeah.
Okay.
Channel 194 of Holden TV.
okay, I wasn't
for
sure if it was
education.
one and the same.
Yep.
Okay, that wasn't clear to me, but there's a word missing, I think, in that sentence. Advertising, I believe perhaps it's supposed to be advertising on local educational access channel shall be subject. There's maybe a preposition missing. And that was.
That could just be a Scribner's error. We can and edit like that, like a grammar edit like that, adding a word, I believe we can do without a motion, without objection.
Why are you looking at me?
No objection. I'm looking at you because you know the most about Robert's rules.
You're good.
That's
You're the
Scott.
policy hawk.
Oh, each town has their own local access. I apologize. Yeah, it's not just Holden. I apologize. It is all the other towns do have a local access, local educational access channel. Randy just corrected me.
Okay, so that's just a generic reference
Yeah.
to the cable, the cable networks, okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. And I believe that,
Without objection.
without objection, that edit can be made, the word on.
Shouldn't it also be channels as well? Access channels? Sorry.
It's okay. We're gonna,
Or we could just make an amendment.
somebody's gonna make a motion to amend that sentence.
I can make a motion.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to modify item 5 on page 3 of 3 to state advertising on local educational access channels shall be subject to laws and policies governing this medium.
Second.
Second from Scott. So the only thing that were changed were adding the word on
And then
making
letter
LEA
S.
channels plural.
Correct.
Okay.
Because we're dealing with multiple towns.
Okay. So we had a second. Do we have any discussion on the amendment? No, seeing no. Randy needs a second for all our amendments.
Second.
Scott.
I did.
So are we ready for a roll call vote on the amendment? Okay. Roll call vote.
Member Runstrom?
Runstrom, yes.
Member Dubois?
Dubois, yes.
Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, yes.
Member Stoika?
Stoika, yes.
Member Fisher?
Fisher, yes.
Member Woodland?
Woodland, yes.
Member Varden?
Gavarden, yes.
Member Borison?
Borison, yes.
Member Poole? Yes. Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, yes.
Member Brennan?
Brennan, yes.
Member Lorway?
Lorway, yes.
Member Klein?
Klein, yes.
Chair Salmon Barrett?
The chair abstains and the amendment passes. So now we're back to discussion on the amended policy with that, with those changes. Is there any other discussion or questions? Seeing none, we will move to another roll call vote.
Member Dubois?
Dubois, yes.
Member Lorway?
Lorway, yes.
Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, yes.
Member Borison?
Borison, yes.
Member Stoika?
Stoika, yes.
Member Poole? Member Renstrom?
Renstrom, yes.
Member Woodland?
Woodland, yes.
Member Brennan?
Brennan, yes.
Member Klein?
Klein, yes.
Member Gavarden?
Gavarden, yes.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, yes.
Member Fisher?
Fisher, yes.
Mayor Garrett?
The chair abstains, and the amended motion passes. I lost my place. Okay. Next, I will accept a motion to amend Policy 1000, Policy Relating to Operations, Non-Discrimination, Harassment, and Retaliation, first reading.
So moved.
Brett and Shannon. So administration had originally brought up this policy way back in August of 2024 to be revised according to Title IX. Does anybody want to come up and speak to it?
Hi, everybody. This policy's been in the hopper for quite some time, and it stemmed from a OCR issue, I think maybe a year and a half ago. But over the past year and a half, it's ultimately gotten to this point. I think it almost came to the full school committee, maybe last school committee or potentially the one before. But then there was additional feedback by other stakeholders where the paragraphs on the bottom of page 2 were added. And that was really to talk about retaliation. This policy is very similar to the MASC model policy and has been reviewed by legal counsel as well.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Member Brennan.
Yeah, kind of not the policy itself, but again, another protocol question. It says the student and personnel handbooks and grievance procedures shall identify the name, office, address, and telephone number for the compliance officer. I just want to make sure that that's something we have.
Yeah, I'm 99% sure it is, but we can double check.
Okay, cool. Thanks, John.
Anyone else? I have a quick question. Is there, I think it was this one, there were no legal references listed on the draft policy that we got. And there was a huge list of legal references on the MASC policy, so I was just...
There's one now, but yeah, it looks like it's...
Well, that's a policy reference,
Yeah,
it's
it's
not the
missing.
legal reference.
Well, there was legals built into it, so you can see on page 1 that all the legals are built into it. So some are at the footer and some are based into it and buried into it.
Okay.
So there is references there.
And those references are there because there's different levels of potentially personnel carrying out different titles and different functions.
Okay, thanks. Member Brennan.
Is it possible to add them at the bottom? I just know we've been trying to be consistent with our policies and the way that we're formatting them. And it seemed to be like we were making sure that they were at the bottom, so I just, I don't know. I just didn't want to go through the process and not have them be consistent.
Yeah, I think it's known as best practice too, to have them for, if anyone wants to, anyone from the public or anyone wants to find those things, they know, they have a list of things to look up.
Right.
So, would you like to make an amendment?
I could, except I don't know all the ones to add. So,
If all of them are truly listed in the policy,
Yeah.
the motion could be that a list of the legal references mentioned in the policy is provided at the end, is added to the end of the policy.
sure.
So moved.
Member Woodland.
Second.
you get that,
Actually,
Randy?
I can't say, well, you made the motion.
We're testing all the,
Who
we're
made the
testing all the
motion?
things tonight. What?
I made
No,
the motion.
You made the motion, fine.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion on the amendment to?
To add, can you just
to-
restate the
so-
amendment, please?
So it's to add a list of all the legal references mentioned in the policy at the end of the policy. Where there's one, the MASC sample policy, but then there should be a legal references list as well.
I just had a quick comment. I believe when we discussed this in the subcommittee, the notion of adding the legal references to the bottom, I believe, was mentioned as something that would be done. So it wasn't done, but it has come up in our policy discussions.
Okay.
I don't want to speak for Brett, but, or the whole committee, but I do recall that being a discussion within the committee to add them to the bottom of policies as we go. So
Okay.
hopefully it was just an oversight in this case.
Okay.
So I would support the amendment.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a roll call vote on the amendment to the motion.
Member Poole?
Poole, yes.
Member Brennan?
Brennan, yes.
Member Dubois?
Dubois, yes.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, yes.
Member Morrison?
Morrison, yes.
Member Woodlands?
Woodland, yes.
Member Klein?
Klein, yes.
Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, yes.
Member Stoika?
Stoika, yes.
Member Gavarden?
Gavard, yes.
Member Runstrom?
Renstrom, yes.
Member Fisher?
Fisher, yes.
Member Lorway?
Lorway, yes.
Member Chair Senator?
The chair abstains and the motion passes. So we are now moving on to discussing the amended motion with the added list of legal references at the bottom. Is there any other discussion? Member Runstrom?
Sorry. So I support this policy overall. I do have a question about number 4 on the second page. I'd just like to know some more information about what the rationale is for that and what we're committing to, where it says using all appropriate communication and action techniques to air and address the grievances of individuals and groups. It's just not clear to me. I know it says all appropriate, but I'm wondering what the rationale is and what we're actually committing to by airing people's grievances.
That's the best.
So everybody's looking at me.
Well, I wasn't, but
I understand.
No, we're not.
You know, when you get into non-discrimination and harassment, there's a whole list of grievance procedures that we have on our website, and it's very, very prescribed. And, you know, as you're asking that question, like there was a number of things that were changed in this policy. So I don't, to be very direct, I don't know the answer to your question, but I'm making an assumption that it's referring to procedures that are carved out for these types of complaints because they are so prescribed.
Okay. Can I just ask a follow-up? I'm just, is that language from the MASC sample policy?
We got it from somewhere. I don't have to dig them
I'm
out.
looking, that language was, I'm looking at an edited copy right now from our attorney, and that was language that was changed and added from our attorney.
Okay.
All of those bullet points, 1 through 6, were essentially added from Attorney McAvoy.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Member Klein?
The focus of this policy is to cover non-discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. And the word retaliation doesn't appear in the body of the policy until the second page. I'm a little bit concerned with that. It's an added item, and I think it's described. I feel like it's described too late in the body of the document. It's not defined really that well. You know, I have a sense of what it means as an English word, but I'm not really certain how it gets differentiated against harassment, for instance. It could be a subset of harassment. But then it's also called out on the second page as a possible form of discrimination. So, and I get that. I mean, English works that way. But But I'm just wondering if we can talk a little bit about what retaliation means under this policy, and then, and think about whether it's properly described and covered by the policy. I hope that's a reasonable request.
So I believe, and Member Beardmore, correct me if I'm wrong, but that, part of that wording was added to match the MASC sample policy, and all MASC sample policies go through their legal counsel, multiple rounds of legal review, and then this one also went through our legal review. So I understand the concern that it's within the title of the policy, but not mentioned until the second page. But I wonder if that's just because of the addition of that, as a new part of policies like these.
Okay. I understand what you're saying. I'm concerned that, I guess the way I read it, it makes it hard to implement it if it's not really brought forward. So, I look as an example at the topic sentence on paragraph 1, the Wachusett Regional School District does not tolerate discrimination or harassment against students, parents, employees, Why aren't we talking about retaliation in the topic sentence of this policy? That's, to me, it's basic. I mean, I assume it's just as much of an infraction as the others, potentially. Depending on the nature of the retaliation, it's just as serious as harassment. It could be a form of harassment, it could be a form of discrimination.
Yep.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but retaliation can't occur until there is an episode of harassment or discrimination.
Okay.
Because it's retaliating against the victim who is bringing the complaint,
Okay.
right? It's and so it is actually on the second page as part of a list too, on the second paragraph. About creating grievance procedures for addressing reports of discrimination, harassment,
Yeah, that's the
and or
first appearance of
retaliation.
the word.
Right, but the thing is that it can't occur until there's already been discrimination or harassment.
Okay.
So, to me, it makes sense that it would appear later in the policy, just in terms of it can't occur until these other things happen first.
Okay.
So, defining it later is fine with me. If you're thinking kind of like hierarchically through a policy, that's how I read it. That makes sense to me.
If everyone's comfortable with
But
that,
we
that's
have-
fine.
okay.
But I'm just not, familiar with these legal proceedings, and it makes sense to me mechanistically that it would come later, and therefore it might appear later in this policy.
Okay. Member Morrison?
I was gonna say, if we could, I don't know what it would necessarily be, but even if we could add a sentence after after the asterisk, that maybe brought up the retaliation, and just so that it's on the first page and addressed with the body of the procedure, because it does sort of feel like it's a bit of an afterthought.
Does anybody have an amendment they would want to?
I'm working on it.
I have a related comment, and possibly a concern that could be mitigated at the same time. In paragraph 1, which could just be a quick summary of, paragraph 1 brings, could be an opportunity to give a quick summary of what this policy is all about, and call out non-discrimination, harassment, or discrimination, harassment, and retaliation could all be touched on in an entry paragraph. The first paragraph is really heavy because it gets into all of the forms of discrimination. And then there's an asterisk added, et cetera. That's done again on the second page. All those forms of discrimination are reiterated in a similar manner, but not the same manner, on the second page. And in my opinion, that's actually cumbersome because the lists look comprehensive in themselves, but when you benchmark them against each other, they're actually different. So my recommendation is that maybe that list of all the types of discrimination be listed once, and possibly it wouldn't appear in the first paragraph. It's just a thought. So I'm just, I guess, if this is it's a little bit challenging, but I guess, I guess a question I would ask the committee is, does it make sense for the list of different types of discrimination to appear twice in the policy? Because if you look through and compare them, they're kind of different.
Member Woodland.
Sorry. There's a difference between non-discrimination and harassment. I believe the first paragraph has non-discrimination and harassment, and then it lists groups that I believe is more encompassing based on harassment, I think can be a more expansive definition. And then the next time it comes up with the list, discrimination is about specific classes. And so that's going to have to be a different list than harassment based on protected classes. So I would be very, very hesitant to make any amendments at this table to adopt without having legal review first. I would think that my preference would be to go forward with this as amended, and then perhaps in another year, review it again to fine tune these kinds of things, since this has already been on the docket since 2024 due to changes in Title IX and other guidance from the state and other sources. I would wish to move forward as is.
Member Gustafson?
What I was going to share that having worked on similar policies in the past, those classifications typically, and I don't remember specifically on this policy, but historically, they come from lists that are vetted from the state and MASC, and then the district has a definitions they're required to have in certain documentations, and we've done work through the years to make sure that they are all in alignment, because as the state and federal government change their definitions, we as a school district have to keep up, and this is one of the policies that we are required to list them. There's a few policies like that, and they're usually, in my experience, they're in agreement, and they come from state and federal laws and trickle down, so they're consistent through all of our documents. So I would also be hesitant to change any listing. I think it's something certainly to double check in the future, but I think our attorneys historically have, that's one of the main things that we have them look for historically, to make sure that it is in alignment with whatever the current language is.
Member Poole?
I don't want to change anything, but I do, what concerns me is, like, I understand that this document is mostly legal. Like, this is a very legal type of document. But how do we, as a group, navigate like those kind of situations? Like, how do we have any oversight over this if we don't understand what all of this stuff actually means? We have lines being added that we don't know why they were added. So there needs to be some sort of supporting document that explains what this means. It shouldn't be written down and changing the legal rules, but if we can't figure it out, then that's a problem. And
Yeah,
I don't know what to change.
I'd be comfortable. This is probably the most reviewed policy from our legal counsel that we've had, to be honest with you. And there's been multiple iterations and different administrators working on it. If Chair Salmon Greta is comfortable, I'd be comfortable. Because I'm not really sure about just even the context of the conversation we had about the legal references. Like, I don't know that all of them are in that paragraph that need to be, and so if you're comfortable with it, I'm happy to take this back and just get some clarity around some of those pieces. I don't know if that's going to be totally disruptive, but
Motion for me?
I have actually a question.
Oh, yep.
Before any motion, is there any time commitment? You said this was a result of a federal case or something.
Yeah, we've
earlier.
blown that time commitment out of the water at this point.
Yeah, it was-
So
yeah.
I don't think another
So
meeting.
there's
is
no
gonna-
harm in,
No.
I mean, if it goes back to the sub policy, you're looking at probably 2 months,
Yeah.
just so everybody's aware. Before it comes back here.
Right.
It's fine with me.
Yeah, it's fine with me too.
I just, just to clarify, I think my point was just not specific for this one, just general, like how we deal with policies that are heavy in legal, like how do we, like if our job is to make sure that we're following it, like how do we know that if we don't understand it, how do we know that we're following it and we can enforce it? So I don't know if there needs to be like a parallel list of like supporting documents that explain what these things mean and legal jargon and stuff like that in normal terms that we can all understand. I think that would be helpful.
I think maybe further explanation of what Attorney McAvoy, like if he could just give brief descriptions of why he's.
And I have most of those notes anyway, so that's not a heavy lift.
Okay.
So we could put that together.
Okay.
That's no problem.
So does anybody have a motion they want to make?
So
Or we're still, oh, Member Klein.
I'm on paragraph 1. Most of what the comments that were made, I accept. And I mean, the key comment I think came from Linda to clarify that the list in paragraph 1 includes both discrimination and harassment categories.
Okay.
The very last sentence in paragraph 1 says, in addition, the district provides equal access to all designated youth groups. It seems like a little bit of an outlier, but perhaps there's precedent or something that forces it to be called forward in the first paragraph. I'm not sure, but to me, it might make sense to make it item 7 on page 1. And I'm prepared to make a motion to make such a change if it seems appropriate.
Okay, you can make the motion and, yeah.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to strike the last sentence in paragraph 1, which reads, in addition, the district provides equal access to all designated youth groups, and add it as item 7 in the subsequent paragraph in such a manner, in the following manner, that is, fostering equal access to all designated youth groups. It would just be a 7th item of what the school committee is committed to.
Fostering equal access to all designated youth groups.
Fostering equal access to all designated youth groups.
So do we have a second for the motion?
Second.
Member Borison. So do we have discussion on the amendment? Member
Yeah,
Brennan.
I think that goes into what Member Poole was saying about having information from the lawyer on why it was there. For example, that line isn't in the MASC policy, so I'm not sure exactly why it is where it is. I'm not opposed to moving it. I understand it reads better in the list. I'm just not, I don't have the background information to know why it's placed where it's placed.
Member Rundstrom.
yeah, I agree with Member Brennan. I'm becoming more uncomfortable with this policy as we amend it. I don't think wordsmithing it here at the full table is the right thing to do. So we're debating an amendment, but I'll
Any-
make another motion when we.
Okay, is there anyone else who has any more discussion on the amendment? So we're going to take a roll call vote on the amendment to strike the last paragraph in paragraph 1 and add a number 7, fostering equal access to all designated youth. Roll call vote.
Member Borison?
Borison, yes?
I'm sorry?
Yes?
Yes. Sorry. Member Brennan?
Brennan, no.
Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, no.
Member Klein?
Klein, yes.
Member Dubois?
Dubois, no.
Member Fisher?
Fisher, no.
Member Gavarden?
Gavarden, no.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, no.
Member Lorway? Lorway, no. Member Poole?
Poole, no.
Member Runstrom?
Runstrom, no.
Member Stoika? Stoika, no. Member Woodland?
Woodland, no.
Chair Salmon-Derrick.
The chair abstains and the amendment fails. So back to the, back to the original amended motion, Member Runstrom.
I'd like to move that we refer this back to the policy subcommittee. I think we had some good ideas at the table, and I think we should have the subcommittee consider them and bring it back.
Second.
Member Runstrom and Member Woodland on the motion. Any discussion on the motion? No discussion on the motion to refer it back. Okay, I'd just be, hopefully, since this was something for OCR and we need to get it done, and it's been so long, that policy can try to dig into it and get it on the docket quickly, since it's been so long. Okay. Roll call vote.
Member Fisher?
Fisher, yes.
Member Gavarden?
Gavarden, yes.
Member Borison?
Borison, yes.
Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, yes.
Member Klein?
Klein, yes.
Member Dubois?
Dubois, no.
Member Poole?
Poole, yes.
Member Runstrom?
Runstrom, yes.
Member Stoika? Stoika, yes. Member Woodland?
Woodland, yes.
Member Brennan?
Brennan, yes.
Member Lorway?
Lorway, yes.
Chair Salmon-Derrick.
The chair,
Member Gustafson?
oh,
Gustafson, abstain.
the chair abstains and the motion fails.
Passes.
No.
Oh, passes, sorry. She told me fails. Okay, so this policy is now being referred back to the policy subcommittee, so we're moving on our agenda. I'll take one thing from Member Gavarden.
Sure, just one thing. So this whole policy was technically an amendment. The DP 1000 still stays in place in its current form.
Yeah.
Right? It's okay.
Right.
So it's not
Yeah.
like we're completely out of compliance or anything.
Yes, we still have the original policy before it was amended. Yes, thank you, Dr. Kroll.
I'm going to just stay
Yeah,
put.
don't go nowhere.
I will now accept a motion to adopt policy 6270, policy relating to pupil services, intra-district transfer, first reading, waiving the reading.
So moved.
Brett and
Second.
Woodland. Any discussion? Does administration, I believe, requested this?
This is a new policy.
Do you want to speak to the policy?
Yeah, sure. Is that
may.
okay? Yeah, sure. So, we have intra-district process. And what that means, there's a couple kind of people that fall into that category. One is, and I'm just going to put towns at random. This isn't, you might have a Holden resident and, their students attending Davis Hill, and for whatever reason, they want their child to attend Mayo or Houghton. So there's an application process, and we go through that process, and it's primarily based on space, if there's space in that school that they're asking to go to. And then the other thing that happens sometimes is a family will move from one town to another and request to stay in the town that they've been in. So you have a Rutland family, the students attending Naquag, they move to Paxton, and they want to keep their student in Naquag, right? So those are the two kinds of cases that we see. So we've done this for a long time. We have a application process on our website, and it's pretty smooth. But sometimes the conversation around transportation has come up, and because of that, our attorneys actually recommended that we adopt a policy. So basically, in the protocol, there's letters and whatnot that are signed between the district and the families that stipulate that transportation is the responsibility of the family, because there's no bus routes that go from Rutland to Paxton, as an example, right? But there has been some, resource allocation that we've had to do for attorneys' fees to deal with some of these questions or concerns, and so our attorney recommended that we have a very clear and concise school committee policy that outlines our protocols or outlines our philosophy around inter-district transfers and our transportation requirements.
Any questions? or comments?
I just have one. The bracket at the beginning, I'm accepting, that's a typo, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where?
Just at the very beginning, there's an empty bracket. I don't know if it meant something.
Oh, there's an empty bracket at the beginning of the
Document. Like,
document.
right before the Wachusett Regional. I just didn't know if it was like a footnote or something that was
I'm sure that
corresponding
that's
to
a
it.
Scribner's error. We can,
Yeah, okay.
we can adjust that.
Okay.
The
Member-
very first,
Oh.
the very first character.
Wrong start.
Member Rundstrom.
It's just a question for administration. Do we have the procedure that's specified here that's going to be determined by the superintendent? Like, if people wanna take
So
advantage of
whether or
this,
not it's like publicized on the website is another question, right? And so we actually, this is, Ace Thompson's been working on this. This falls under his purview. And originally we actually he put together this policy as a draft with a whole list of procedures to share with our attorney. And he's okayed both, but we've separated them out. So the short answer is yes, and we will publicize them.
And we plan to publicize?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Thank you.
Is this something that would go in handbooks, like that procedure? Just wondering.
School handbooks?
Yeah,
I mean, sure, it could.
throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Just for ease of access to information for families. Member Gavardi.
No, actually, so through the chair, Director Kroll, so there is no appeal process so it states it right here. Let's say the family situation is the same, the following fiscal school year, could they
Reapply.
reapply?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then
definitely.
they go through the whole process all over again?
Yeah,
Yeah. okay.
definitely.
That's cool.
Any other questions or concerns? Nope. Okay, seeing none, we'll move to a roll call vote.
Member Borison?
Borison, yes.
Member Klein?
Klein, yes.
Member Dubois?
Dubois, yes.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, yes.
Member Lorway?
Lorway, yes.
Member Rundstrom?
Rundstrom, yes.
Member Poole?
Poole, yes.
Member Woodland?
Woodland, yes.
Member Stoika?
Stoika, yes.
Member Brennan? Oh, I'm sorry. Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, yes.
Member Fisher?
Fisher, yes.
Member Gavarden?
Gavarden, yes.
Chair Senator?
The chair abstains and the motion passes. I will accept a motion to amend policy 1410, policy relating to operations, new member orientation, first reading, waiving the reading.
So moved.
Second.
Beardmore and Govarden. Does, Member Beardmore, do you want to speak to this policy?
Really briefly, we really just wanted to make sure we capture in our school committee member handbook, so we've added that there. And we also wanted to call attention to the state mandated orientation that we go through as well. Really, those are the 2 points.
Okay. Are there any questions or discussion? Member Woodland?
I'm just curious about the last bullet point, procedures of the order of the meetings. What does that mean?
Robert's rules.
But we don't get a copy of Robert's Rules when we,
Yeah, I don't know.
so do you?
Is it like getting agendas, or what does that mean?
I don't know.
Member Klein?
It may be the same as the handout at the entry, that, like, is it like a Robert's Rules handout or something like that?
That's a public speaking, that's for public address.
That's
that
for
handout.
public? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I was thinking I saw something similar
Oh.
like that.
But I think, sorry to.
I think
No,
it's
go
in
ahead.
that vein. that-
Okay.
that-
Yeah, that makes sense, right? Because it could be rules of order, right? Robert's Rules of Order, so procedures of order.
Okay.
It could be
Yeah.
that you're told, we run by Robert's Rules, or we run by Smith's Rules. Did you know that's a thing? That's a thing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Seeing none, we will move to a roll call vote.
Member Stoika?
Stoika, yes.
Member Borison?
Borison, yes.
Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, yes.
Member Gavarden?
Gavarden, yes.
Member Dubois?
Dubois, yes.
Member Fisher?
Fisher, yes.
Member Klein?
Klein, yes.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, yes.
Member Poole?
Poole, yes.
Member Brennan?
Brennan, yes.
Member Rundstrom?
Rundstrom, yes.
Member Lorway?
Lorway, yes.
Member Woodland?
Woodland, yes.
Chair Senator?
The chair abstains and the motion passes. Now to our guests from the high school who have been so patiently waiting. Next, I will accept a motion to amend Policy 3311.1, policy related to education, graduation requirements, first reading, waiving the reading.
So moved.
Second.
Woodland and Govardhan. Director Cole, would you like to?
Sure.
or
Do you want me to provide
have
an
anyone speak to
overview-
the motion?
overview? So, just for context, if you remember, we gathered here last fall-ish to talk about adding a competency determination language to our graduation requirements policy. And that came from the November ballot initiative to remove MCAS as a high-stakes test. In other words, removing MCAS from being considered for meeting graduation requirements. But that didn't change the law. It just changed how the law was enacted. So in other words, you have local graduation requirements that might be certain credits and number of courses, et cetera. And then you have from statute competency determination. So essentially saying, did a student meet certain standards, right, in academics, in English, math, in science? And so that was the MCAS. And so we had to come up with another pathway. So we've received more guidance since then from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and they've asked all school districts in the state to provide a separate competency determination policy. They gave a very clear template on the information they wanted in that competency determination. In addition, you also will see later in your agenda an adjustment to our graduation requirements, because we're essentially taking the competency determination pieces out of the graduation requirement policy. The
We're doing
district
graduation
is-
requirements now.
Sorry?
The one we're discussing now is graduation requirements.
Correct. Oh, it is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I jumped ahead.
They're
No, they're
mixed
just-
in the superintendent's report. and
The motion was for graduation requirements.
Okay, well, then that kind of gives you the concrete rationale. So I on that topic, then I don't have much to add on the graduation requirements, because it's pretty much taking the competency determination pieces out. The bigger,
Sure.
more information will be on the competency determination policy, which that one's coming up later.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion on the graduation requirements?
Sorry.
Policy? Member Ostrom, don't apologize.
Yes, so I think through the chair, I had a question about the new paragraph on the first page about FAPE, about students found eligible for special education services must also be determined by the district to have received a free appropriate public education prior to the award of their diploma. Can you explain the rationale for why there's an additional requirement to show that the district has provided FAPE to award a diploma? I just was confused by it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to give it a stab, and then Shanna Hover from the high school's up here as well, so she can speak to it as well, probably much better than I can. So when we're looking at FAPE, if you lose the MCAS as a measure of a student achieving competency determination, then it's left to the district to determine what competency determination looks like. And so what we don't want to do is be in a situation where we have a student who we're kind of saying as a district, oh, that student has met the competency determination, when they really haven't, because if they don't meet that competency determination, they would potentially be eligible for additional services beyond traditional senior year. Director DeAngelis talked about this at our meeting when we adjusted the graduation requirements policy, and highlighted that we do have students, and Shanna Haber can talk to it, but we do have students who, even when the MCAS was the high stakes test that it was, we would still retain those students and provide them services and opportunities beyond traditional graduation. So that's what that is addressing.
Okay, so if I can restate, just so I understand correctly. So it sounds like this is actually to protect families or students that are in special education that may have taken 4 years of English but are not ready to graduate yet. So the district can't say, you're done, you got your diploma.
Yeah, we still, yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to add to that, Shanna? Or?
Okay.
Any other questions or discussion on graduation requirements? Seeing none, we'll move to a roll call vote.
Member Lorway?
Lorway abstain.
Member Gavarden?
Gavarden, yes.
Member Fisher?
Fisher, yes.
Member Woodland?
Woodland, yes.
Beardmore?
Beardmore, yes.
Member Dubois?
Dubois, yes.
Member Brennan?
Brennan, yes.
Member Renstrom?
Renstrom, yes.
Member Borison?
Borison, yes.
Member Klein?
Klein, yes.
Member Stoika?
Stoika, yes.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, yes.
Member Poole?
Poole, yes.
Chair Samandari?
The chair abstains, the motion passes. Next, I will accept a motion to adopt policy 3312, policy related to education competency determination, first reading, waiving the reading.
So moved?
Woodland
Second.
and Poole. Any discussion? Would you guys like to speak to it?
Hi.
Aye.
I don't know what I'm looking at, because what I'm looking at right now lists the graduation after this, so I'm not sure what document I have, so sorry about that. But essentially, when you're looking at now creating competency determinations, as I said, the state asked us to essentially complete a template, which is not like a pretty document. And so we ended up using the MASC model policy, which has all the components of the template, so it's a little bit more policy-like and looks similar to other policies that we have. But essentially, when you're asked to look at a competency determination, and I'll turn it over to Principal Pratt and Shannon Harbour to talk about this, but we look at two components. The state asks us to consider two components. What are the course requirements for satisfactorily completing a competency determination? And what does mastery look like, right? Because again, mastery used to be the MCAS. And so different districts are handling this in different ways. We looked at, I don't know, dozens of other districts, and obviously consulted with our legal counsel, and came up with, we believe that grades reflect mastery. That's kind of the whole point of a grade, and felt that mastery meant passing the classes and earning credit, because those are two different things at the high school. You have to do both. So I'll turn it over to you folks if you have anything else that you want to add to it.
Thank you. Before we get started here, I just wanted to say thank you to all those that were involved in creating this. Dr. Kroll, Mrs. Haver here, Mrs. Stattenfield from the high school, Mrs. Cantrell. It was a team effort to kind of come up with this. We did collaborate, and I did speak to a lot of different principals in the Midwatch region, and reached out. And we kind of had many conversations as a group about what we were looking at and how we were going to make sure that we met the requirements that the state is putting forward. I think I'll open it up to questions at first, just to see if there's anything that I can clear up, and we'll start with that. Yes.
Member Gustafson.
So, actually, this is kind of for you and for John, who just said that grades represent mastery in this format, this model, and I know that that's generally what's accepted, and we need to have some standard. One of my overall questions, though, is that for some students, grades are often based on tests, and some students are not good at tests, and there's a lot of other ways that students can demonstrate mastery. So I guess when I hear that, my brain first goes to making sure that we have pathways for students to demonstrate mastery, because other than just taking tests or rote memory, because students learn in so many different ways, and that's where my kind of brain goes in this discussion. So,
yeah, I would say that we do a pretty good job of the high school of creating a variety of assessments for students that aren't just tests. There's a lot of project-based learning as well. And it does mention in the competency determination that students will have multiple opportunities to show mastery beyond just what might be the traditional test. So there's a lot more to the high school than just the tests that happen. But I hear that point. Mm-hmm. Is that accurate?
I would does this work?
Yep.
Just pick it. It's been a fun night.
You want
to? So in addition to that, some schools actually went through the process of highlighting that mastery for them would be passing the midterm and the final exams. Yes. And we to Member Gustafson's point, didn't feel that that was the appropriate way to the tack to take for that reason.
Any other questions? Member Rundstrom?
I think this is great. First of all, I can see the work that went into this, and I think there's a lot of detail in here and alternative paths, and I really appreciate that. So I fully support this. We did get an email today, I think, from CPAC with some open questions that I think we can't deal with tonight. I think they're too big to deal with tonight. And I think we should move forward and pass this policy because students need to know whether they can graduate in May. But I just asked the administration to take those questions into account, and maybe this policy could be revised in the future for next year.
I believe that email was from one individual and not from.
Oh, I'm sorry. It may have been.
just
It was
yeah.
Sorry. I'm not sure if it was from CPAC or from
Yeah.
an individual on CPAC.
Okay.
But
Yep.
the point remains.
Do you have your hand?
Yeah, I was
Member
just,
Brennan?
I was just going to reiterate what Member Rundstrom said. I had a couple questions along some of the word usage in the Students with Disabilities section, and also in the ELL section. The DESE guidance wanted us to be really clear with what was going to determine mastery, particularly in ELA. And it seemed like they wanted us to be very specific in that area, and that I noticed that we sort of weren't. Like in the guidance, they mentioned like, oh, are we going to allow, sorry, are we going to allow, certain other classes for certain levels of English learners versus our standard ELA class and things like that. And so those are things that I would like to maybe see fleshed out a little bit in the future.
I think we're happy to answer some questions on all counts. So we're happy to take any of those.
Are you asking if they discuss that particular thing at all? So you're not seeing it in the policy?
Right.
And you feel it should be in the policy? So is
Right.
there
Are
discussion
you
around
referring
that
to the
particular
ELL,
thing?
the English language learners section?
Yes.
That's, okay. So what's the question again? I may have missed that.
Oh, okay. So in,
Oh,
sorry, in the DESE guidance that was sent,
Yes.
it said that they were looking for specific measures of mastery, and if we were going to allow certain classes for certain levels of English language learners as opposed to our regular classes and stuff like that, and I didn't see anything quite that specific in
that's
ours,
specific.
so.
Sure, we could take a look at that and get some more specifics on it. I know the Department of Education did provide us with a course list of what was acceptable. We can definitely go back and take a look at that and see what they recommend specifically.
Yeah, I thought in our conversations too, the frame of the conversation was around looking at the grade level standards in 9th and 10th grade English, and that the classes that the school felt satisfied that requirement are listed in the ELA section.
Yes.
But the ELL section highlights in the Students with Disabilities section highlights supports that we provide to students to attain success in those classes.
Yes.
Is that fair?
That's accurate, yes.
Oh.
Take those classes. So
Yes.
they're not excused, even if you're like a level 1, actually level 2 and 3, you're still taking the ELA classes. 'Cause
Yes.
it's your English class, but you have additional English classes in your ESL class.
And you may have a high school that doesn't have the structure that we have. And what I mean by that is you might have a high school that has some specific classes that are English language developing classes that meet those grade level standards. And
Okay.
I think that's where that guidance or directive from DESE is coming from, to clarify what your district's stance is.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so maybe it's just me, or I don't know, maybe that wasn't fully clear to me that was, I guess I just didn't read it that way.
No, I think your question's right on. They're basically giving districts the option of saying that. We just didn't feel like as a high school we could say that those classes met the same grade level standards that English 9 and English 10 do in our building.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. I think when I read the document, I wasn't, I guess I wasn't putting those two things together as far as what was listed for the ELA requirements was exactly the same for the the other call-outs listed below,
Yes.
so.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's in the
Sorry.
statute, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry if I didn't understand that. That's my mistake. Yes, that's
Any
accurate.
other questions? Member Poole?
So this is kind of just a general question. Beyond the probably initial revisions that may happen just from additional detail or whatever, how like fixed in place is this? Like, do we expect this to change like
Yeah.
frequently compared to our other policies?
You asking us or Desi?
We're talking Desi here, so.
Yeah.
So to that point, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. And frankly, you know, there's a lot of conversation around what are statewide graduation requirements going to be potentially.
Yeah.
So, you know, DESI's charged districts with submitting a policy by the end of December.
Yeah.
I would be shocked if we weren't standing in front of you again in the next 12 months to discuss changes or adaptations.
So that's my question. You guys prepared and you have a plan in place for when
Yeah.
things ultimately require changes and
Yes.
Yeah, it's tough, right? And this is just me editorializing, but you know, we're constantly changing the game for students.
Yeah.
You know,
No, I understand.
It's challenging.
Right.
Yep.
And this is supposed to be right for this graduating class.
Right.
So we want to make sure that we, support them.
Yep.
it's a bit different than the way our other policies, like, this is
Well,
not really
this is a
like-
prescribed,
Yeah.
this is a DESI, yes.
So I don't know how we
When DESI tells
work
us to
that
create a
into our-
policy, it's nothing like what our normal policies are, but they make it very clear what they want and when they want it by.
So as a group, do we need to discuss like how we deal with this specific, it's gonna have to come up frequently. So this would be the education subcommittee?
But that's why
that-
we have our administration to guide us on things like this from DESI, because they wouldn't necessarily always come to us.
Sure.
The high school principal and the administration would hear from DESI more frequently about specific issues like this.
Just, sorry.
No, you're
I'm curious as to where this work belongs within our group. Like, yes, it comes from them, but is this gonna be a policy subcommittee work that has to happen?
I determined this to specifically not go to policy subcommittee because it had such a deadline and there were such specific
going
people that needed to work on it, so I gave them
Sure.
That's why I had it come straight to full school
Sure.
committee from the administration.
Okay, so I guess I'm just worried that this is gonna be ongoing work for a while and where it fits, like if it keeps coming through this way, do we have to keep, like, should we slot out a thing that gets reviewed every year during policy subcommittee, that we look at this and make sure that we're available to do whatever needs to be done, but it doesn't have to be done ad hoc, so.
Okay.
I don't know, it's just a point.
Gotcha.
Okay,
Yeah, can I just
Again, DESI.
sure.
mind if I add one piece
Yeah.
too? And you know, Scott referenced an email. You know, one of the points in there was protocols around appeals processes, and you know, we felt that that was protocol driven and not policy driven, and we need to make sure that we have those publicized, obviously, but we also want to be able to adapt when we have new guidance, because sometimes it's not timely at all, you know.
Yep.
Any other? Member Rundstrom?
Just to comment, I think I said this already, but you know, it's important for the students that are in school this year to know what the graduation requirements are for May. We may need to revisit it next fall for the class for next year, but I think we need to go forward with what we have to give clarity to the students in school this year.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Member Morrison?
I'm just curious, so if there's a student that is set to graduate and is short 5 or 10 credits, does this mean that they need to take another full semester? Like, because it says that they have to have at least 5 scheduled each semester? Does that mean if they need to make up credits, that they need to take 5, even if they only need?
Can you tell me where you're looking?
The first paragraph right under the credit requirements list?
Graduation?
Well,
I think that's on the graduation
Oh, you're right, I'm on the graduation, I'm
policy.
sorry.
But to answer that question, I mean, we would just make sure that the students have the requisite number of credits, the overall number of credits. That's what we would be paying attention to.
Okay.
Yeah, oh, just
And,
really
and
quick.
the number of credits in each course. That's
Sorry, I have both up on the screen.
Yeah, no, it's all
Yeah,
good.
so-
Member Brennan?
Oh, sorry, Natalie. It's currently true. It's currently 5 credits per year. So if they were missing like a credit each year, they would have already probably had to make it up along the way over the summer. So that's already something they know about.
Okay, so it
yeah.
works itself out in the beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, any other questions about the competency, I can't say the word competency,
Making me a-
competency determination
call it CB.
policy? Any other questions, comments? No?
About the language of the policy, or are we just talking about the presentation of the,
You can,
so overall?
you can, whatever comment you want to,
Okay, well,
Member Klein.
the quote from Dr. Kroll, grades reflect mastery, is sticking with me. And I guess one question I have is that, from the state level, is that what you're seeing statewide? I mean, is that your interpretation locally, and is it aligned with what everybody's looking at statewide in the absence of MCAS being the driving metric?
Yeah. You want to? Yeah.
It aligns with when MCAS was a requirement. If you've got partially meeting, you're between 470 and 499, and then meeting expectations was over 500. So that, like, sort of range was already there for getting the credit.
Right.
Doesn't necessarily mean you're meeting all the expectations, but at least you're getting the credit. So that's sort of where we got the 60% of the class, or when you're passing the class, you're getting the credits, you're meeting the competency.
Okay.
And that is language that's being.
It does make sense. I guess in line with that, I mean, in the first paragraph of the proposed policy, the second sentence is pretty long, and the word "and" appears in the middle of it. And the second, after the "and," essentially it's describing grades reflect mastery. It speaks to it almost speaks to two forms of mastery. And I'm like, well, what's the first one? If only grades matter, why do we have to have it's?
So I think that's our argument, right? And so you have different school districts doing different things with these, but by and large, a lot of the ones that we've seen are essentially saying if you've passed the class, which is the course requirements half, then you're also demonstrating mastery, the second half. So it is the same thing satisfying both of those.
Right.
components.
It's a quantifiable
Yeah.
representation of mastery. So you have to be a master to be able to take the test or the assessment, whatever it is, whatever the metric is that the grade is generated from, and that's the demonstration of it. Okay, so that's the reason you're saying you have to have the skills to attain mastery and then go through the assessment to get the grade. Right.
Any other
That's a suitable
questions?
clarification.
Assessment.
Yep.
I think,
I understand.
yeah, and the term assessment would be, it could be projects, it could be, right.
Anyone else? Seeing none, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
For all your answers.
Thank you.
And for your patience. Seeing no more comments, we will move to a roll call vote.
Member Fisher?
Fisher, yes.
Member Poole?
Poole, yes.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, yes.
Member Runstrom?
Runstrom, yes.
Member Brennan?
Brennan, yes.
Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, yes.
Member Dubois?
Dubois, yes.
Member Klein?
Klein, yes.
Member Stoika?
Stoika, yes.
Member Gavarden?
Gavarden, yes.
Member Lorway?
Lorway, yes.
Member Woodland? Woodland, yes.
Um,
Member Borison?
Borison, yes.
Chair Seven Garrett?
The chair abstains, the motion passes. If there is no objection, I will skip over the next motion that's placed on the agenda to our next meeting. Member Kirschenbaum, who requested this, the referral of this this policy, is not here tonight to speak to it, and I wanted to give her the opportunity to do so. So it'll be on a near future agenda. Okay? Thanks. Next is subcommittee reports. We made it. We made it through policies. Subcommittee reports. First is Business and Finance. Member Brennan?
Sure. So Business and Finance has not met since our last meeting. We were supposed to meet last week, but as I had the opportunity to attend the MASC conference, we moved our meeting to tomorrow. So Business and Finance is meeting tomorrow at 6:30.
Great. Thank you. Policy Subcommittee Member Beardmore.
Next meeting will be December 17th.
Great. Thank you. Legal Affairs Member Rundstrom.
Yeah, Legal Affairs hasn't had a meeting since our last full meeting, but we have started, just for everyone's information, we have started negotiations with the WREA, and we're about to start negotiations with the nurses as well. And we'll have an update in executive session when we have something to say.
Do you want to mention the?
Oh, yes. So, yes, sorry.
Yeah,
Thank
no,
you.
you're good.
So we have had advice from legal counsel to begin posting our negotiation sessions as executive session because Anne Marie and I are both on the negotiating committee. So technically we're a quorum of the legal affairs subcommittee. So there's going to be no change in how we're doing negotiations at all. It's just you'll see those meetings posted as official meetings of the legal affairs subcommittee.
They'll open the public meeting. They'll do then go into, it'll all be executive session though, as it always is. And then there will be minutes of some form for the open meeting law.
Yes.
Superintendent Goals and Evaluation, Member Dubois.
We've been looking for a date for our first meeting, looking to find quorum.
Great, thank you. Facilities and Security Subcommittee, Member Poole.
Yep, we met and discussed the regional agreements in a lot of detail. We compared the differences between the towns to find out what the differences were. We ran it through some diffing software so we could find out exactly. There was a couple lines difference, and we're working on bringing those in line with each other. There's some discussion about there was one particular clause that was amended out of the Rutland agreement that we think it may make sense to remove that clause from all of the agreements to bring them in line. There's discussion about the amount for the maintenance, the dollar amount, and there's some discussion ongoing with the towns. And there will be more of that in the future, and that's going to have to come back to this table pretty soon, where we will have to figure out our game plan for that.
Great, thanks. Next is Management Subcommittee. Management Subcommittee met right before this meeting. We, as I had previously mentioned, I got the subcommittee together to discuss operating protocols. So we discussed if we as a smaller subcommittee wanted to create them and then bring them to the full committee with lots of reports and input gotten from the other members. So we decided that was a good idea. We're all going to review some documents before our next meeting and come together and discuss what we think might be good ideas for operating protocols. We also discussed a few things about the member handbook and the possible, maybe some amendments to that and the process for editing it and things like that in the future. So we meet again before our next full school committee meeting, or that's the idea. There's no update for Audit Advisory Board right now. Next is the CPAC Liaison Report. Member Rundstrom.
Yes, so the next CPAC meeting is this week on Thursday at 7 p.m. It's a virtual workshop on understanding reading disabilities that's actually going to be presented by School Committee Member Lorway. So the session will provide a clear and accessible overview of the different types of reading disabilities, including dyslexia, language-based learning disabilities, and challenges related to decoding, fluency, and comprehension. And Member Lorway will cover early signs and symptoms to look for, how diagnoses are made and what they mean, and what effective intervention and instruction should include. So this workshop's designed for families at any stage of the process. If you're just beginning to ask questions about reading struggles or navigating assessments or already advocating for your child. It's free and open to any Wachusett District family. We'll include a Q&A, and you can register on the website.
Great, thanks so much. Next up are school council reports. Does anyone have a school council report? Member Gavarden?
So, took us a while, but the Naquag Simcoe finally met just a couple weeks ago. We went over introductions. We went over documents we wanted to look at as a group. We're not looking to change the strategic plan, but to go over it, to go through updates. The school improvement plan, going over that, and then also doing a review of the parent handbook for the school. And then, they brought up a couple of safety concerns. It's a good concern that was addressed. They are very appreciative of patches to the concrete that were made over the summer before, and that was definitely noticed by administration, students, and parents, to sidewalks around. A couple other things they mentioned were just some general issues in the building. They had some issues with hornets, how they're getting in, and even with the colder temp, still finding a way to be active and buzzing around. So that was something they were going over with their staff on site, as well as Director Wild. But yeah, no, so it was a good group, good meeting.
Great.
Yeah, so yeah.
Thanks. Member Dubois?
TPS met today. They walked through the school's new website and then also walked through staffing changes this year and throughout the year. There's been a lot of them. And then walked through MCAS results.
Great. Thanks. Member Fisher?
Yes, I met with Dawson this afternoon. It was our first meeting. It was really, I found very interesting. They showed me their MCAS scores and their trends in their MCAS scores. They were fairly pleased with the results this year. I think I'm confused about Davis Hill's achievement and their achievement because they did very, very well on their MCAS scores. And we talked a lot about the issues of culture and whatnot. So really, I haven't had much of an opportunity to think about it since it was only about an hour before this meeting. But it was our first meeting, and I look forward to future opportunities to meet with them.
Just to speak to that achievement, those are determined by the state. So do you want to speak to it a little more?
Sure. You know what I can tell you is because Principal Wild actually pointed this out to us while we were celebrating Davis Hill at one of our principal meetings. Both Mayo and Dawson actually have excellent MCAS results. And in some cases, their performance has actually exceeded Davis Hill, depending on the grade level and also the span. Where Davis Hill made extraordinary progress was their growth. And so they increased their scores in both achievement and when you compare them to a cohort of like peers. And so they effectively, on the metric that DESE uses, earned more points. But to your point, Member Fisher, no, I think Dawson had outstanding MCAS results. And I think in a couple of areas, they're the highest in the district for the elementary level.
Yeah, that was my impression. Yeah.
Mayo as well. I had a couple of really very strong results. Thank you for pointing that out. And I meant to have mentioned that earlier.
Well, I'll just tell them that you totally neglected them.
I am sure I will hear it.
Any other school council reports?
Glenwood, we met on October 29th. Very, very large group. I think there's 15 parents.
That's very nice.
No, I don't know how we did it. Lot of really positive energy coming out of our new principal, Andy Hall. He has a lot of changes that he's already made. He has a lot of changes that he is planning on making, and it was mostly just a lot of icebreakers. And kind of going over some of his major goals, and I think it's looking like it's going to be some really nice changes there.
Sweet. Thank you. No one else? So if you haven't heard from the principal of your assigned school yet, just reach out to them, send an email, and maybe ask about the school council schedule. That is all. Next on the agenda is new business. Does anyone have any new business? Any ideas for new business should be sent to the chair with a rationale for its addition on a future agenda. With all business on the agenda completed, this meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Good Thanksgiving, everyone.